Hey everyone, I'm Chris from Battlefront Miniatures, and today I'm taking a look at one of my favourite products from 2020, the new Plastic City Ruins box. Now, over the years we've released plenty of amazing scenery pieces built by the guys at GF9, including some you can see over here. What's eluded us though are the really big buildings so that you can have your fights in Stalingrad or Berlin, or even if you're playing Team Yankee, maybe a tussle somewhere in Frankfurt. Now, thanks to these new plastic buildings, you can finally build a table that is suitable for a massive assault on the Reichstag or a dirty, gritty fight in Stalingrad. Let's take a look at what's in the box. Inside the box, you're going to find 4 of these complete wall sections. One side has a brick texture, the other side has a rendered texture. This is one of the things I already love about the product, the versatility. You can easily paint them differently just by painting different brick colors or different render colors and flipping the pieces around. Next up, we have 4 broken wall sections or incomplete walls. These are perfect to join up with these to finish off your broken or ruined building. We have 4 corner pieces. These pieces are obviously for the corners on your building. We have 4 wall extenders. I'll show you how they work a bit later. 6 floor pieces, 4 roof corners, and a cross piece that's used to help you differentiate between the different rooms in a building, and these 4 pieces as well. Don't really know what to call them, but they work along with these pieces to help you understand where the corners in your building are and what's in each room when the fighting happens. Alright, in the intro of the video I said that these were one of my favourite products of 2020. Let me tell you why. First up, durability. Because they're hard plastic, they're going to take a beating. And as a side note, they're hard plastic, so they're light. Next up, they're easy to build. That comes back to being plastic once again. You can either use plastic glue or super glue. They've been designed that they'll nicely fit together, and with a bit of pre-planning, you can make a great selection of buildings. Next up, they're easy to paint. The textures that we've put on here are very graphic. If you run your fingers across them, you can easily feel the raised bricks and the texture on the rendered wall sections. They're great for taking a dry brush or a wash, or better yet, a dry brush and a wash. Next up, the hobby aspect. 2020, I've found myself spending a lot more time in the garage doing painting and hobby stuff than any year before. So this is a chance for you to really go to town if you want and do something a bit different from painting your tanks. See up here, Casey's done a great job with his buildings, even building bases for them to go on, really embracing the opportunity to just do something different, make a real one-off special project. Last up, they're really cheap. I know you're going to think I'm saying that because I work for the company, but $50 US for one of these sets will easily build you what we call a 2x2 building. Or if you're cunning with how you choose to use your pieces, you might get a little bit more out of it. Buy 4 boxes, $200 US, and you've got enough for a 4x4 table to game on. For some beautiful terrain like this, I actually think that's really great value. Let's take a look at how easy they are to assemble, and I'll give you a few tips along the way. If you want to get the most out of your City Ruins set, it pays to do a little bit of planning ahead. By that I mean taking some of the pieces that you want to glue together and just making sure that you're using all the pieces in the most sensible way and getting the best value out of them. And of course, making sure that if you're choosing brick texture, then that's what's going to be facing out, or the rendered texture. Let's clear these away and I'll show you how I go about planning. Today I've decided I'm going to build a rather large L-shaped building with a small corner piece. So let's start looking at the pieces I've got and how I want to put them together. I want a couple of these. Need to make sure I've got a joiner for them. So that's going to go in there. Then we'll have it turn the corner. So we need a corner piece. We'll have one entire intact wall. So we need another joiner piece. A corner, another intact piece, a joiner and a ruin. Now that uses the bulk of my pieces, but I think will give me a really interesting looking sort of facade area and a great corner building. I've got 2 pieces left over, so we're going to use those to make the last corner of the building. connect them there with a corner piece. Now we want to think about the roofs. We've got a small roof piece which will work nicely with that. Then we've got a couple of longer roof pieces which should work just fine here. That may be a little bit longer than that section, but if I really wanted, I could take some side cutters and trim a bit of it off. Being plastic, it'll be easy to do. For this one, I'll just leave it as is. Then I've got another full length corner piece, which will work nicely there. So put that there. Then we've got the little wall pieces. Now these attach to these joiners, and they glue in right down here. They attach something like that, and they help differentiate where your rooms are. So we need one for that one, one for that one, one for that one. We're going to need to build this piece. It's nice and simple. It'll just go together something like that. So we'll build that as well. And then we need to think about floors. I'm not going to worry too much now about planning out which floor goes where, because I've got quite long wall sections. It should be fairly easy. The only thing I will do is I'm going to save this one for this building. So we'll use some or all of these in this big section. Taking a look at what I've got left, all I'm left with are one joiner, one corner, one roof section, and another one of these. Now, if I wanted to, I could easily take my clippers once again, trim up through there, rough it up with a bit of a knife, trim through there, once again, rough it up again. And that would look great just to be interspersed along my long wall here, just to give it a bit more character. Let's talk about glue. You've got two options. It is a hard plastic, so you can use a plastic glue or a super glue. Today I'm choosing just to use super glue because for these purposes it's quick and simple. Now, I'm going to touch on this a little bit later with painting. You may want to think about painting your pieces before assembling them. That's how I'm choosing to do it with my models at home, but it is just as simple to do it now. It's completely up to you. I'll start by taking my wall section and I'm just going to work my way along here, and I'll take one of the joining pieces as well. Always make sure to pay attention as to what side is facing out, and make sure that these nubs here sit just below these lines. These nubs on the straight pieces are really just there in case you want to use them for any further personalization or customization work, adding extra floors. Whilst on the corner pieces, they're used to help attach your corner floor pieces. The one trick to bear in mind though is you always keep this gap here at the bottom. That is so that this piece here can glue in just like that. So I'll run a bead of super glue down here. Luckily, because they're a war damaged building, it doesn't matter if you're a little bit sloppy with the glue, no one's going to know. And attach it like so. So here you can see we've got that piece gluing. We can grab the next piece. Make sure we've got our orientation correct once again. Run a bead of super glue along it and attach. Once again, just make sure you're keeping everything in line and trying to keep a fairly flat bottom along here. See, this is where the pre-planning comes into play, because I've already figured out what I'm going to do and its look. I can just grab each piece one at a time, work my way along, gluing them. Once again, make sure you get these nubs in the right spot. And that will go about there. This is where it becomes a little bit tricky because I'm going around a corner. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put those aside for now and leave them to dry for a bit. And I'll continue on with the next section. Checking my orientation, I know that it's going to be like that. So I have that piece there. It's going to attach to this piece. Once again, drop a super glue. Checking that I've got the gap at the bottom. Drop it in, away we go. And so on and so on. Now, once all of your sections have cured nicely and they're nice and strong, you can go in and glue in this piece to this piece. All right, I've left them to dry for a minute now. Let's take a crack at gluing the wall pieces in and joining it all up to make an entire section. Does pay to be a little careful here. Just going to press down on it, make sure we get a good fit, and at the same time push the corner in from the other side, and we'll just hold that there while it dries. Once that's done, we'll come back and glue in the next piece. If you want, you can even leave them to dry standing up, which is a good way to make sure that it looks square. While those dry, I'll quickly glue my extra corner piece together, and then we'll take a look at the walls and the roof sections. Gluing on the roofs is really simple. There is a notch that is cut out of the plastic here, which matches up to this piece here. So all you need to do is run a seam of glue on the interior face here, and a little bit of glue there, and then it will nicely sit on the top of the building using this edge piece here to help brace it. While my roof piece is dry, let's take a look at gluing in a floor section into a corner. Each of the floor sections has this little recess here and a solid square plug here. These are designed to mate up with these channels here, with the corner piece on the floor section sitting on top of these little blocks. Something like this. All you need to do is run a little bead of glue on the interior faces here and drop the wall section, the floor section into place. Obviously you can pick where you'd like to put it, just make sure that it makes sense and that your floor doesn't protrude too far out past the wall, and it will look something like that. While that dries, I'll go ahead and glue in the other sections and we can see what the building's starting to look like. With my floors glued into place, the last thing I have to do are my room dividers. We'll start off with the one that goes in the middle. Nice and simple, just fits together like this. Drop a glue in. Slightly more than a drop. Once it's painted, no one will know. And these sections, like I talked about before, these slot in to the walls. I'll slot in down here. So we'll run a little bit of glue down along here. Then we'll glue the other one. We'll leave that to dry for a minute and then we can have a look at the finished building. And here we go. Here's our finished building, ready for painting. So let's talk about painting. These are great models to paint. I know that sounds a bit strange because they're scenery, but I've actually found the work that I've done on them to be really enjoyable. And I think that's because you can really pick a standard that you want to achieve. You can go for a spray, wash, dry brush, and they look great. In fact, here's my sample that I've been playing around with, to something a little more extreme, which I think looks great too. This took me all of about 2 or 3 minutes to do. This took me an hour. I think I'll do one building like this because I like it, and the rest of my buildings like this because it's fast. One of the things that I do quite like is that you can take a quick and simple approach and use the spray, wash, dry brush technique. Get your buildings ready and on the table, and then later you can come back and pick out extra details to really enhance your building. Whether it's picking out a few bricks in a lighter color just to make them pop, or working on some of the cornerstones to help them really stand out. Likewise, you can do something a little bit special with your interior render color just to help improve the total look. It really is up to you how much time and effort you want to put into them. Once your city's built, there are a couple of great accessories that you might want to look at to further enhance your gaming experience. First one is the city mat. This neoprene mat is double-sided, so you've got a nice green texture, which is great for most of your gaming, and then you've got an awesome 6x4 table ready to go with streets and rubble and ruins on it, All you need to do is add the buildings and it'll look great. Secondly, one of the things we're quite excited about is our flexible rubber building base plate. These come pre-painted, ready to go. All you need to do is put your buildings on top of them. All right, there you have it. There's the new Plastic City ruins from Battlefront. Let's take a look at a full set of ruins on one of these mats on a table and just see how good it all looks.